avocado? Okay. It's so dumb. But when I was a little girl, if I found this avocado, because in Trinidad, the avocados are huge. They have those butter types, not these Haas avocados. The only reason why I have one of these is because we're in this fast right now, and I have these avocados on my desk, okay? But kind of goes with what I want to talk to you for a few minutes about today. And when I felt like we needed to talk about play and we needed to talk about childlikeness and how you can bring joy back into your life this way, I was like, God, it seems like I always get back to that where I talk to people about that. But the funniest thing happened. I was thinking about it, didn't mention it to anyone. I was driving to church today, and my podcast, I went to my podcast site to see, what was there. And 2020, 3 years ago today, my podcast was on childlikeness. Isn't that crazy? So exactly 3 years ago today, the Lord put the same thing on my mind. So I knew it was a confirmation. I didn't see any other podcast. And I'm not talking about a video blog. I'm talking about the podcast itself. And it was on childlikeness. So I tried to click on it to hear what it said, and it didn't download. That wasn't the point. The point was like God saying that's what we need to talk about. So today, I want to remind you of what it was like to be a child. And if you had a bad childhood, I want to take you back to the place in your own self where the child version of you still exists. What's the child version of you? It's the part of you that God loves best. It's the kind that He wants you to come as when you come to Him, so that He will answer you as a father. And I think that some of us forget how to be children because our lives get too difficult. The people around us want us to be so grown up that they don't know how to allow us to be happy. And 3, we forget that God's okay with that. And in fact, He not only is okay with that, He encourages us. In fact, He says that if you can't come as a child, you can in no wise inherit the kingdom of God. So this is how it started. I got this book from Shania 2 years ago for Christmas, and it's called The Playbook. And it says it's ideas, exercises, and little ways to add more fun to every day. And she wrote a long note about why she gave me this book, and she said she saw this book and it reminded her of me because I'm always talking about being childlike while not being childish. Right? There's a big difference between being childlike and being childish. Being childish is being immature, not being responsible, not caring about things that pertain to you as an adult, being forgetful or damaging other people's property. Things like that are childishness. Being childlike is about humility. It's about trust. It's about not taking yourself too seriously, not taking circumstances too seriously, and really depending on God for every single thing, every day, daily bread, your meal, your manna, whatever. Every day is a new day. So this morning, as I was writing in this journal, it asked a really funny question. And I'm going to ask you girls, and you could respond to me and tell me what your answers would be like. If you could write it in the comments, I'll go back and read it. So it says, what were your ideas about being an adult when you were a kid? So it's asking you, when you were a kid, how did you think your adult life was going to be in terms of these silly things? And it says, I thought I'd stay up until... And you had to put the time in every night. So when I was a kid, I thought I would stay up till what time every night? When did you think? Like when your mom sends you to bed, you think, when I grow up, I'm going to stay up till. What number was it? Mine is, I was always sleepy because I never had a bedtime. Did you guys have a bedtime? Okay, I know this doesn't sound super spiritual, but it's just where my mind is today. My mom never said time for bed. Because when it was time for bed, I was sleepy and I wanted to be in bed. Okay, here's the next question. I thought I'd have blank for dinner. So when you were a kid, you thought, what, when I grow up, every day I put French fries for every single dinner. It's what I want. I was talking to my mom yesterday and she said, I could live on potatoes forever. Fried potatoes, curry potatoes, potato chips, French fries, baked potatoes, potato soup, whatever. You cook a potato, I could live forever. And when I was young, all I wanted was French fries every day when I was a little girl. And I thought when I grew up, that's what I'm having for dinner every day of my life. Not a good idea, but that's how I thought as a child. Another one. I thought I'd always buy blank when I went shopping. So, what did you think you would always buy when you went shopping when you were a kid? I didn't go shopping a lot as a child. Very rarely did I ever get to go shopping or went shopping with anyone for anything. So I put stuff from the dollar store, especially color pencils. But I remember when I did get to go to the dollar store here in America, I was mesmerized mostly by the stationery, especially the color pencils, the erasers, the smell of erasers and color pencils. So I thought when I grow up, I'm going to buy all the color pencils I could get my hands on. To this very day, I have so many color pencils because I'm always in the dollar store if I go there picking up color pencils. And the last one, I thought I'd be able to go to blank whenever I wanted. And my response is to my godmother's house and to amusement parks. When I was a kid, I always thought when I grow up, I'm going to be by my godmother's house every day. Because as I grew up, less and less, I was allowed to go over there. Less and less did I get time with her. And I thought when I can make my own choices, I'm going to live by her every single day. And I always wanted to go to the amusement parks. I thought when I grow up, every week I'm going to an amusement park. So I thought those answers, you know what they did when I sat down and was writing in this book? It reminded me of the way I thought about these things when I was a child. And now as an adult, I can rarely find time to go to an amusement park. I still try, but it's maybe once a year, if so much. I eat French fries a lot still. I still want colored pencils from the dollar store. And I still don't have a bedtime. And I stay up until whenever I want to stay up. But I want to ask you to answer the questions. Even if, you don't see the importance of a exercise like this, I think in your mind it gives you permission to just not stress for about 2 minutes. To allow yourselves to realize that all the things you dreamed of when you were children, what happened to those things? Did you grow out of them or did you grow up from them? Whatever it is, God says unto us in certain ways that He wants us to be like that when it comes to Him. He wants us to dream beyond what we're actually capable of. In tomorrow's or today's fasting blog that I'm sending out to everybody, I tell a funny story. Well, it's funny to me about when I was 6 or 7 years old. And the TV show Solid Gold would come on. And I would put on tights and a short dress or whatever I could find with tights and push all the furniture in my godmother's house away and wait for that show to come on so I could be a solid gold dancer. I won't tell you how the story ended and I won't tell you what I wrote in it, but I chuckled so hard when I remember how much passion I had for solid gold dancing. It was something that has stuck with me even decades after I did it. You know why? Because now and then, even though I was 6 years old, I could remember catching my godmother's eye. She would be in the kitchen and I would see her peeking out and laughing and watching me. She would never stop me. She would never laugh at me. But I would always see her smiling from ear to ear. And it never made me embarrassed. It never made me ashamed or shy or made me want to stop dancing. In fact, whenever I saw her smiling, all I wanted to do was dance some more. Sometimes I think that's how God sees us. When we forget that, people are expecting things from us and they're judging us and watching us and condemning us and whatever, evaluating us, and that God is not like that. That He watches when we're freest, when all we want to do is follow what He's doing, when we can just abandon everything and become a child to Him. He watches when we do silly things and when we do things that nobody understands, especially in His sight, when we dance before Him with all our might. And I imagine that He smiles from ear to ear, not to stop you, not to laugh at you, but He delights in His children. He has so much joy when He sees you having joy. So woman of God, daughter of God, it doesn't have to be a day. It doesn't have to be an hour. It could be 5 minutes or 10 minutes that you take to remember something. I know some of you had really traumatic childhoods, but there must have been a 5 minute period somewhere where it wasn't a bad moment. Remember what that felt like and try to bring that joy back into the adult you. Try to remind yourself of who that little girl was that was full of dreams and hopes and wishes. And don't be so tough on yourself today. Give yourself a break because you're good. And not only are you good, you're good to look at. Your Abba loves looking at you. He finds the most joy in the way you do the things you do. I don't know if that's going to help anybody. I don't know if that means anything to anybody, but today it let me off the hook. Today it let me say, mess ups and all, imperfections and all, I'll never be a solid gold dancer, but Abba didn't care. He just liked to watch me try. Preacher girls, don't you ever forget. If God called you, He didn't call you to perfection. He just called you to try. Nobody can uncall you. And you don't need a whole pulpit. You just need a message.